Brothers is a theme that is woven throughout the book of Genesis, and it is our deep sadness that the atrocities perpetrated by Hamas on October the 7th have led the descendants of Isaac and Ishmael yet again into terrible and bloody conflict, a tragedy that we are witnessing daily in the news. I wonder if any glimpse of hope for the future can be gleaned from the biblical stories we read. I'd like to think so as we approach the new calendar year. So in this week's Torah portion, Vayechi, we come to the end of the final story of our patriarchs and matriarchs in the book of Genesis, the tale of Joseph and his brothers. In truth, it doesn't start out very well. Jacob favors Joseph over all his other sons, and that leads to deep unhappiness and rivalry between Joseph and his brothers. Joseph is too young, immature, and unwise to keep his dreams to himself, dreams in which his family appear to be subservient to him, and he infuriates his siblings by describing these dreams to them. While the relationship between siblings is a theme woven throughout the stories in Genesis, I think there's a broader message to be found in the book about family relationships. Excuse me. As a role model of family life, what is portrayed in Genesis falls well short, but it's interesting to review the stories through the lens of their sibling relationships, and there are positive and constructive lessons to be learned. So the story of the first brothers to appear in the Torah, Cain and Abel in Genesis chapter 4, is a tragic tale of anger and jealousy, and ends in disaster as the older brother murders the younger. And when Cain is challenged by God about Abel's whereabouts, he denies all responsibility towards his brother in those immortal words, "I do not know, am I my brother's keeper?" In chapter 21, we encountered two more brothers, or rather half-brothers, Isaac and Ishmael, half-brothers who perhaps would have got along well had it not been for the behavior of their respective mothers, Sarah and Hagar. They are destined to live separately for most of their lives. Another recurring theme of the younger son chosen over the older one, which began with Cain and Abel, again appears here. In chapter 25, Jacob takes advantage of his brother Esau's ravenous hunger when Esau comes in from the field, and Jacob wrests from him his birthright for a bowl of lentils. He then goes on to cheat Esau out of his firstborn blessing, after which Esau swears vengeance upon Jacob once their father Isaac dies. However, 20 years apart turns Esau's anger to forgiveness and teaches Jacob some important lessons. Taken advantage of by his father-in-law Laban, tricked and deceived by him on several occasions, Jacob gets a taste of his own medicine. His 20 years away from Esau teach him some humility, and that and Esau's great generosity of spirit allow a reconciliation to come. Reconciliation, yes, but still the two go on to lead separate lives. Though they learn to love each other as siblings, one gets the feeling that they'd probably only meet once a year, perhaps for Seder night. Well, at least they would have if the Passover story had happened by then. It wasn't a particularly close relationship. As for Joseph's brothers, they are quite understandably incensed, both by his youthful arrogance and by their father's obvious preference for him. Indeed, Joseph tells tales about his brothers to their father and describes to them his dreams in which his entire family worship him, bowing down to him in homage and recognizing his power. No wonder they get upset. However, their collective fury leads them to excess. They plan to do away with Joseph and end up selling him into slavery. The long story of Joseph in Egypt tells a tale of arrogance turned into humility, Joseph's acknowledgement of God's power, and his brother's journey from sin to repentance. When Joseph's brothers are presented with the opportunity to leave behind their younger brother Benjamin as a slave in Egypt, they do not do so, thus proving beyond doubt that they have accepted responsibility for their crime and learned their harsh lesson. Following Jacob's death, Joseph's brothers fear that Joseph will take revenge on them for selling him into slavery. However, Joseph speaks kindly to his brothers and reassures them that he bears them no ill will for their conduct towards him all those years ago. So in this final story of sibling relationships, there is full reconciliation. Well, actually, almost final story. Let's not forget the brothers Ephraim and Manasseh, adopted by their grandfather Jacob and blessed by him. Joseph's sons. It's by invoking the names of these two siblings that throughout the Jewish world, sons are blessed by their parents on Friday evening with these words, Yasimcha Elohim ke'Ephraim v'chi Manasseh. May God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh. Daughters are blessed by invoking the names of the matriarchs, Yasimech Elohim keSarah, Rivka, Rachel v'Leah. May God make you like Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah. Why are the patriarchs not invoked for the boys? A number of reasons are given in Jewish tradition, but as Tamar Fox comments in her article on the blessing of children, the view most commonly held is that of contemporary Israeli Rabbi Mordechai Elon, who wrote that Ephraim and Manasseh are the first pair of brothers in the Bible who do not see each other as competitors. They don't struggle for power, and their dynamic as a family never seems to be the source of great difficulty in either of their lives. By blessing our children to be like Ephraim and Manasseh, we seek to bestow upon our children the legacy of peace and harmony between brothers. Well, Joseph and his brothers living peacefully together at the very end of the book of Genesis is a long way from the jealous and murderous Cain in Genesis chapter 4. All the sibling relationships in the book of Genesis are troubled ones to a greater or lesser degree, but then show me a sibling relationship that is not without its difficulties from time to time. Of course, we wouldn't resort to the extremes which our biblical ancestors are reported to have committed, at least I hope we wouldn't, but it wouldn't be unusual to experience family tensions and conflicts. What we can glean from the clear progression from generation to generation in the book of Genesis is that no relationship is without its struggles. But the struggle that began so tragically with Cain and Abel can lead to the peace and understanding that finally exists between Joseph and his brothers and between Ephraim and Manasseh. In our lives, we search for meaning and we seek to understand our complex natures through our struggles with others, our parents, children, and siblings, and most of all through our internal struggle with the different sides of ourselves, the Ishmael versus the Isaac in us, the Joseph versus his 10 brothers. Through our struggles, we change. The conflicts between siblings and their inner struggles pervade the book of Genesis. All of us at some point in our lives will inevitably have struggles with family members or those we count as family. And perhaps that's why we can relate to the stories of the book of Genesis and learn from them. Perhaps that's why they are so enduring, because they tell the story of each one of us. If we could learn to see our struggles and our pain as opportunities for growth and enrichment, leading from conflict and tension to wholeness and peace, what a valuable lesson that would be. As the secular year of 2023 draws to a close, may an end to the fighting in Israel and Gaza come soon, and may a secure and lasting peace be achieved there. May we draw hope from the Torah text and see the dream of Israelis and Palestinians reconciled and drawing strength from each other come to pass in our lifetime. And may we all work towards and experience Shalom Bayit, peace in the home, reconciliation if necessary, but a commitment to make the time to truly reconnect, to value and appreciate our relationships. Chazak, chazak v'nitchazek, we say at the end of the reading of each Torah book. Be strong, and let us strengthen each other. Shabbat Shalom.